Yeah. What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Tour Life. We got a fun special episode for you today. Our first one in person. Get used to it. This is what it's going to be like throughout the season. We're also bringing on a couple special guests. The first one being Trevor himself. He did a great job. I think him and Hunter did a great job of going through the entire lawsuit. They talked to lawyers. They got all the information. So he's going to come on at the beginning of the show and give us a little bit of a breakdown of exactly what is. He's going to set the stage for you, for us, if you will. Get everyone caught up. We got to talk about Ricky. We got to talk about the All-Star event. We got to talk about the Las Vegas Challenge. It snowed on me today during my practice round. Crazy stuff, crazy episode, lots to go. And we also have an empty seat here.
Yeah, we do.
Gannon will be here later in the show. And it sounds like Yuli's ready to hit him with some questions as well. So stay tuned. It's going to be a crazy show. Without further ado, though, let's bring Trevor in. Our, I don't even know, our lawyer correspondent, if we will. Trevor, what do you want to be called in this case?
I don't know. Can you all hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Okay, sweet. I think the lawyer correspondent, that's kind of fun.
Sounds cool.
That sounds pretty pro. Yeah, I guess you guys just want me to kind of give you the timeline, the lowdown, all the details.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how much you know about it. I saw tons and tons of pages of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't read any of the stuff. What I did is I watched a few YouTube videos of other people who had studied the documents and then gave their piece of what was going on. So it was kind of a fast track to get caught.
So me and Yuli kind of have an idea, but Trevor, for those watching that have no idea what happened, explain exactly what's going on between Prodigy and Gannon Buhr currently.
Yeah, so basically the timeline we're looking at is it starts in November, and you have Prodigy, they're alleging, nothing, they don't really know anything about any problems, any issues, any complaints. And then in November, they're approached by, I believe, Gannon's mom, and she basically asked them, is there a way that Gannon could leave his current contract? Prodigy is alleging that they basically said, we don't want to do that. I don't really think that's an option, but what about a restructure? We'll do what we got to do to make Gannon happy. So they kind of go through that process. They make a counter offer, but apparently they didn't really see any interest in that. And they kind of in Prodigy, what they allege is that it seemed like there wasn't going to be any kind of restructuring, but they were just going to do the 2023 season as it is. And they thought it was kind of resolved at that point. Well, in January, they get an email, this time from Gannon, basically listing what he believes to be a certain amount, like I believe it was 5 material breaches of his contract, and basically he's giving them a 30-day cure period to resolve these matters, or else he wants to terminate his contract. The things he lists the quality of the discs that he's been receiving. He alleges that he's complained in the past. He also says that he was promised 2 Rookie of the Year discs and didn't get any. He says that he was supposed to be paid $500 worth of bonuses that he was owed. And there are a few other things in there as well. But he basically lists these material breaches and says you got 30 days. That's that. And then Prodigy basically looks through this. The one thing that they felt that they could cure immediately, at least, was the bonus thing. They kind of that they basically paid to Gannon. And then, in their mind, they've kind of resolved what they can. But then in February, all of a sudden, obviously everybody sees this. All of a sudden, they get this notice of termination from a lawyer from Gannon's side. And Gannon goes on and announces to everybody that he is leaving Prodigy. This happens like very suddenly. And so after that, that is where everybody was kind of speculating. And then we finally see Prodigy basically files a complaint. They are basically filing for breach of contract. They are basically alleging that what Gannon is doing, he does not have grounds to do, that they were able to cure any breach that would have had it existed. This is what they're alleging. And that, Gannon is actually the one wrongdoing them. And they filed initially for a preliminary injunction and for a temporary restraining order. This is something that was not immediately granted by the judge, but this is where you're going to see a lot of the case files that were made public was for this temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. And this was basically, they were trying to prove to the judge, based on what they submitted, that there was going to be irreparable and immediate damage to their company if Gannon was allowed to just proceed as normal. They wanted this restraining order to make it so that Gannon could not sign with another company, because they were thinking in their minds, they basically allege at one point, like Gannon could sign. They were basically saying Gannon could sign with somebody as soon as tomorrow. This would cause irreparable damage to us. We need this granted immediately. Now, the judge did not immediately grant that. I believe there's going to be a second hearing on this in early March, but something like that still could happen. But essentially where we're left is what we have to look at it's about 100 pages worth of this filing for preliminary injunction, and it shows us Prodigy's side of the story, essentially. And then there's also some evidence attached to the bottom of this that they're using, such as Gannon's contract. Now, there are certain things redacted from that contract, such as financial information that can't be disclosed to the public legally. You also have a series of messages between them, and just a number of things. And basically, the whole of what Prodigy, how they break it down in their filing, what they're alleging is that the 5 things that Gannon listed as material breach, basically Prodigy's lawyers are saying none of those were really material breach based on what's actually in the contract, right? Like based on what was promised and what Gannon was wanting. And the only one that they were saying could have been material breach was the bonus that wasn't paid, but they paid it. That was acknowledged by both sides. And that would have been cured within the 30-day cure period. So Prodigy is saying basically there was no material breach of contract. And if there was one, we cured it within the period. So that leaves us in a spot now where that's out there. I was able to talk to a lawyer today about it and kind of interview him on what he thinks about the situation. It seems that moving forward, basically, the most likely outcome would be a settlement of some sort where he speculates that you would see a settlement where maybe Gannon does owe Prodigy some money, but maybe a new manufacturer would come alongside him to help pay that and bring him on. If this does go to court, we could see a countersuit. We could see Gannon sue, and then that could lead to a settlement. It's unlikely that this actually would go to trial. That would certainly be pretty drastic. If it would, right now we only have Prodigy's side of things essentially and what they filed. We don't know what Gannon's defense would present, but that's where we stand right now as it is. That's how things are looking.
All right. I think he caught everyone up. Trevor, I appreciate it. Let Kenzie know that we appreciate her giving you the time tonight to jump on here, and appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Trevor at law. Yeah. That was a lot of information and smooth with it.
I live for this stuff, man. I've been like studying this like for like 48 hours at this point. It just fascinates me. So
make sure you guys tune into the Trevor Staub show too, because I think the lawyer that you mentioned, he interviewed and got a bunch of questions.
Well, you only knows him, Chris Clark, discgolf.law.
Oh, that's my guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Sweet. Yeah. All right, Trevor. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yep.
All right. So he just gave us obviously the full rundown. Down. Lots of info. What I want to know with you, like, what was your initial reaction when you saw the news break that Prodigy was suing Gannon? What like came to mind right off the top?
I wasn't surprised at all. I wasn't surprised. I mean, this. I feel like in the last, I would say, 10 years, we've had a lot of, to the public, seen a lot of things with player/manufacturer contracts, and Prodigy, it seems like, is always kind of right in the middle of like the bad ones, unfortunately, the ones that, make get to the public eye. I remember Ricky was involved with it. Paige was involved with it. Behind the scenes, I was involved with them for a long time. And we had to go navigate some tricky little avenues for my contract when I left. So I wasn't surprised. I think to the public eye, probably not surprised either, but as the sport grows, we're going to see this more and more and more, I feel like, unless we learn from our mistakes and we get fixed. I mean, I've been a big advocate on players getting good lawyers and going through that avenue just because of what I've seen, learn from what other people's, I guess, mistakes. And I never wanted to be involved with something like that. Like, even before I got on this show, I called my lawyer and I'm like, hey, what can I say? Like, I don't want to, get into a situation where I'm saying something and they could come after me or something. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that I'm free to, my right to free speech, without getting in trouble, really.
I think some people watching the show might, understand and know that your background, you were in that first wave of Prodigy players. So you probably have a little bit more intel than others. What was your thoughts with how the public, like with how the fans and stuff? Because my thoughts on it was, I was actually a little surprised that everyone just sided with Gannon. It felt like the majority of people just sided with Gannon without like, reading into what's going on, or, I mean, because the news broke so fast and everything I was seeing initially was, why is Prodigy suing a kid? Which we first have to, yes, he is young, but you have, like, that does not matter.
No.
If you are a child superstar actor and you mess up and break contract with something, it doesn't matter that you're a kid, you're still in the wrong. So I think Prodigy has every right to sue whoever they want, regardless of age.
Of course.
Now, I just thought it was interesting because, again, we have seen, I think this is why the reason that so many people came after Prodigy is because this used to be commonplace.
Yeah.
Players used to just, when they wanted out of a contract, they just left. And so if I'm Prodigy, again, I'm not going to go too much into my thoughts on the actual case itself, but if I'm Prodigy and I feel like players in the past have left and I was just like, all right, I mean, what are we supposed to do? I think they eventually got to the breaking point of where, like, we can't just keep having players leave us.
Yep.
And I think other companies have also had players leave them as well. And I think they've just made the decision that it's probably best for them business to just like not say anything.
Yeah.
And just like kind of swallow the contract, if you will. But it seems like, you had going way back in the day, right? You had Paige leave early. Then you had Chris Dickerson just recently leave early. And now you have Gannon. I mean,
Ricky.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure there's others as well. Like, I'm sure Prodigy was at the point of where it's like, we got to, you know, we got to at least stand for something at some point about, like, you know, you sign this contract, you have to stay.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I do want to say is I feel like a lot of people are taking Gannon's side. There's no sides. It's just a contract, and they feel they're two different ways, but they're both well within reason to be able to say whatever they're saying, obviously, because they're going, you know, having this lawsuit. What I want to say about Prodigy is you can look at it two ways. And the way that I like to look at it, especially when I was involved, was they don't want to lose him. He's a great player. They don't want to lose him.
No.
They don't want him to leave. Why would they want the hottest player with the biggest upside right now?
They did offer him 4 times. That was in there as well. 4 times what his current contract is worth,
which is that's a great offer. Depending on what it is.
I mean, 4 times, because it's like, the number 4 times jumps out at me, but it's like, if initially he was getting paid $20,000 a year, and they're like, we'll pay you $80,000 a year, I would say, like, that's not probably a great offer. And he went radio silent after that offer, which leads me to believe some other manufacturer out there gave him some figures of what they're willing to pay him. And it was to the point of where it's like, I've gotten plenty of emails from people being like, hey, can you promote us on Instagram? We'll pay you $200. That's just a delete. I'm not responding to that. Right. And that's probably how Gannon kind of handled this situation of like, oh, let's just throw out figures. They're offering me $80,000. Well, company X over here just offered me $250,000. Right. So why? And I agree with you. Why would Prodigy want to leave him? And I think right now the problem with Prodigy is they're in a lose-lose situation. Because even if they somehow win this court case, right, or somehow keep him,
the damage will be done in the public's eye.
And also you have someone too. It's like when you have a starting quarterback on your team that doesn't want to be there. It's not good for the locker room. It's not good for the morale. And like, being able to handcuff Gannon to be on Prodigy for this entire season because he has to fill out, like, it's tough because he's also come out and said things. It hasn't just been, if it was something simply on the numbers of like, I want to get paid more, they weren't willing to up my contract before my contract was over, so I want to get out. That'd be one thing. But he's like talked about the products not being good. He's talked about like the way like they under-promised him on certain things. And that's also something we need to get into with what you're talking about with the lawyers getting involved. When you sign a contract, what's in that writing matters. If they send you an email and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, is that something that you want to do? And you go, yeah, it sounds great. That I don't know if that holds up in court, of where if they don't end up doing that, like you need to almost have them write an addendum. Is that the right word? An amendment? Something. I can't remember what the contract are. But you almost need to have them write something back into the contract to add into it of like, we are going to get you a Rookie of the Year disc. I think that's the big issue here is, to me, what it sounds like is there wasn't that much stuff in the contract, and there was stuff told to him just person to person on the phone, text, email, whatever, of like, we're going to do all this. That stuff need to be in the contract. If you win Rookie of the Year, this happens. If you win Worlds, this happens. If you become one of the top 5 players in the world, you can renegotiate your value of your like all that stuff needs to be written in, because at the end of the day, Prodigy can just be like, it's not in the contract. We don't have to do anything.
No, and I think that's a good point as far as player contract goes moving forward. To anybody out there who is working on becoming a professional disc golfer, once you get that contract, like put in there what you want. You have the right to do that. You can be like, no, this is what I want. This is what I need. It doesn't have to be something that they have to give you up front right away, but something that you can work towards. What I've learned.
There needs to be a give and take, right? Like you need to be asking for something. They need to say, no, we can't do that. Try to find a place in the middle.
Or find a place where it would be silly for them not to say no. Like be like, hey, if I do this, this, and this, and this, I want something big.
Yeah.
Because you're given something big.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's almost like betting on yourself, which I feel like people right now aren't willing to do.
Yeah.
They want the big cash check. And so they go from company to company to get that, to where in the beginning, if they were to be like, hey, what if I win the USCGC?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what I want. I want something huge.
Build that in.
Exactly. Build it in. Build whatever those things. What if I win 4 tournaments? What if I'm this? What if I hit all 10 marks? Then I get a huge bonus, $100,000 bonus. The company would be silly not to be like, you got it. Yeah. Because it's a win-win. Like you said, it's a win-win.
They're going to make a lot of money off of you by being that player.
Right. Because unfortunately, winning is up to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's no team.
Nope.
It's winning's up to you. And that's it, which means your performance is based off of what you're getting paid with your manufacturer. And, of course, the little crumbs that you get from, well, not little with, like, the top guys, but for myself, the little crumbs that I get from getting, 10th place, a couple grand here, a couple grand there. Mm-hmm. That's nice. But the way I make money is with that sponsors. Big contract. Yeah, those sponsors. And so that's what I would tell the kids out there right now when you come into the sport. Bet on yourself and put that stuff in there. And if you're not willing to do it, then I don't know what to tell you.
Even that, like, well, and this is why I'll side a little bit too with the manufacturer on this side, because the way I view it is, let's say I'm a no-name guy and I built myself up to where one of the big sponsors wants to sponsor me. Yeah. One of the big manufacturers wants to sponsor me. The way I view it is like, that's awesome for me in the short term. Great. And now I have to make the decision. Do I want to risk it and say, you know what? I think by next year, I'm going to be an absolute monster. Mm-hmm. So even though I'm not right now, I just want to sign a 1-year deal because I think after this, I'm going to be worth so much more.
Yep.
Now that's risky because now you have a job for 1 year, essentially. Or you can go the route of like, I want to sign a contract for 5 years. So now I know, like, okay, I've got 5 years to kind of get this stuff figured out. Maybe I become a better player in those 5 years, but at least I know I'm making money for 5 years.
Yeah.
That, I think what we're missing the point though, is I think we're missing that the manufacturer also is taking that risk.
Oh yeah.
Especially on these top guys. Now, I think Gannon is going to be a player, and I've said this for a long time.
Yes.
But there is a chance that he just somehow had the greatest season he'll ever have last year. There is a chance of that.
Yeah.
We've seen it before in other sports. So if someone decided to sign Gannon to a 10-year, $10 million deal, that manufacturer is taking a big risk as well, because what if 3 or 4 years from now, the landscape of disc golf is completely changed? That manufacturer, there's nothing written in, because this is my issue. My issue is there's nothing written in the contract that says if you don't cash at every event, we're dropping you.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the thing that says you need to win next year or we're dropping you. You can just go out and play terrible, and guess what? You're going to still be sponsored by them next year. Mm-hmm. So I side with Gannon, and I said this from the beginning. I think Prodigy would be stupid not to say, you know what, you're on this new player contract for another year. Let's ex-nay that. Let's get you a new contract for longer. That's
Which
what
is
Prodigy.
Kind of what they tried to do.
It sounded like that's kind of what they did.
It
sounded like what it kind of did. So that's what they should do. But to me, it's always, and we'll hear what Gannon has to say. To me, when you sign that contract of like, I'm going to do this and you're going to pay me this for year after year after year, that other person that you're signing with is also taking that risk for that long-term thing, because you might not be the man a couple of years from now and they still have to pay you.
But there's also, with you saying that, there's also other things that you can get paid to do in disc golf as well. Like winning is great, but like you're well known, right?
Sure.
You have a lot of people everywhere in other sports and everything that are big fans. So they're also going to sign, if you play bad, how bad is your sales going to be hurt?
I guess this is the ceiling versus floor,
right?
Like, I think my floor is pretty high.
Yep.
Right. And I still think my ceiling is really high that I haven't met, because if I continue to play better and better, obviously I can go up.
Yes.
There are other people that don't necessarily have a very low floor.
Yes.
Right. Of where if they stop winning or they stop finishing or they're not on featured cards or anything, like, no one's talking about them. They don't, like, I have my own kind of promotion, if you will, of where I can post stuff and people, even though I'm not on league cards or winning tournaments, whatever, people can kind of still follow my journey. So yes, there is value. And I would argue that those players that can kind of keep their name and have that fan base, and that is what I think Gannon built this past season. Sure. I don't think he had it 2 years ago, but I think this past season he built that. And so now, to me, he is someone that is valuable, whether he is winning or missing cash.
Yes.
Now, that also goes away with time. Yes. Same with me. If I all of a sudden start missing cash at every event and I do it for a year, for 2 years, eventually
it's going to be,
eventually it gets to the point where people are like, why are we watching this guy? This guy sucks. Right? Like, people like winners. People like the journey, but they like winners.
Yes, they do.
And so once you can kind of get away with a lot more when you're starting, but once you kind of get to that certain level, like, people were not when I first got into disc golf, people were not like 3 months in, 4 months in being like, when are you going to win, man?
Right.
When are you going to win? That's what people are saying now, of where, like, if I don't win this season, people are going to say, like, you didn't have a good year. No one was saying that when I first started. So, expectations, all those things change, and you either kind of rise to them or you don't.
Yep.
So
I think there's like I was saying before, there's a hidden compliment that got overshadowed with Prodigy saying, no, we want you here. So I just wanted to put that out there, like, being like, no, we do not want you to leave. There's a hidden compliment in there being like, no, Gannon's too good. We don't want you leaving. And then Gannon was like, no, I'm good. Then it became a little salty between each other.
It's not a good situation.
No, now it is not in any way.
But there had to have been something that happened that made Gannon not want to even talk to Prodigy anymore. Because like, his list of like things of like, they didn't pay me $500. They didn't get me this, they didn't do that.
And then they filed a restraining order.
Yeah. Like, his list of things, like, all those things, to me, I feel like Prodigy should have been like, holy crap, we dropped the ball. We'll make it up to you. Yeah. We'll pay you all this money. I think ultimately what ended up happening, which I think screwed Prodigy, is they didn't get into the door fast enough with Gannon and like lock him in.
Yeah.
And someone else got to Gannon and was like, hey, if you're not happy with Prodigy, like, we don't know, but if you're not happy with Prodigy, we're willing to pay you this much. And now you have that dollar sign. And the other issue too, and
there's nothing illegal about another company coming to you and being like, hey, would you look at what we can give you?
That's what we need.
There's not, I want people to understand that too. Yeah. Like, Gannon has free reign to listen to offers. He just can't disclose what he is making.
Correct.
Per the agreement that he has in set.
If he has that in writing saying that he can't,
I believe,
which it sounds like it does. Yeah. And we need that. Gone are the days of Innova saying like, hey, how much are you guys going to try to pay this guy? And then Disc Golf being like, we only want to pay him this much. And then it'd be like, all right, that's fine. Like, gone are the days of like, we as players, we don't want companies talking to each other about like, we'll just offer this. No, we want I think Lone Star, honestly, I think is great for disc golf.
Sure.
Because the more companies that come in that are just like, we don't view our competitors as a family.
Right.
Right. Like, we're not trying to be buddy with other people. That is the best for the players, because now players are going to get the best value. And sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes they're going to be overpaid. And that's okay. Yes. Like, companies will learn and figure out like, oh my God, we just like threw a lot of money at this person and we're not getting the value back.
I agree.
And that company might go out of business, and that's okay. Like, there needs to be this like idea of some companies are just going to succeed and some companies are going to fail. We can't try to like have everyone be successful. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like that's not what is that? Is that socialist? What am I talking about? No, that's what is that? That's
no schooling for
me. But I'm under the wraps where I think it's best if everyone's competitive and the best survive. I don't want a situation where it's like the companies can't be too successful because we need all these other companies to survive as well. I don't know.
And I'm not here to bash any company, but I will say this. I think it's interesting that there's one company that is involved with these things. And so
it seems
that's just logic.
No, you're talking facts. You're talking facts if simply there hasn't been, like the way that Innova, we could talk about the same Innova and Ricky.
Yep.
Like that sounded like there was rumors and whispers. Yep. I don't know too much about it. You might know more, but
that's also, I like the fact that they kept it in house.
Yeah.
Somehow they were able to keep it in house, and
I don't know how it got figured out.
Me neither.
But
that's none of our business at the same time.
But it seemed like Ricky, I guess, is happy and Innova's happy. I don't know how that all. Let's talk about Discmania and MVP.
Yeah. Simon,
same thing.
It seemed like that went smooth.
Like there are situations that have happened where players have left.
In that situation, Simon did have a buyout, so it made it easier to transition because that was in writing.
I think here's the thing. I think Gannon, if you want my personal opinion, Gannon signed a terrible contract. Did he know it was terrible initially? It kind of reminds me of my very first contract I ever signed by myself. Was with State Farm. Okay. They reached out to me after I did my first trick shot video. They reached out to me and said, hey, we would love to use 2 shots that in this video for like some commercial stuff. And I was like, all right, sure. And they're like, we'll pay you $1,000. I was like, wait, you're paying me $1,000 for a video I've already done? Like, I don't have to do anything? Yes. What the heck? Fast forward a few weeks, that commercial's on TV. That commercial's on Xbox. Like when you log into Xbox and you like go in, like that's all. It was on website. I mean, it was everywhere. And like fast forward a year or so when I signed with an agency and my agent, and I was like, hey, just curious, like, what do you think the value of that would have been? And she's like, I mean, you're talking like upper 90, 80,000, potentially 6 figures for the amount of places that was shown and everything. And the fact that I just gave it away.
And it's probably more now.
Yeah. Oh, now probably even more so. Prodigy for a while. Mm-hmm. So he finally gets to go on like the top team or whatever it was. Like in his head, right there, he probably thinks that's a great deal. But in hindsight, it probably wasn't that great of a deal.
And another thing I want to say is in the sporting world, this is a normal thing.
Yes.
This is not something that we need to just be like, oh, I just can't believe this could ever. No, this happens weekly in the NBA where somebody's like, nope, I want out.
Here's the thing, though. I'll counter that. I think it's different because you don't hear it much with people saying like, I want out of my under. You don't hear Steph Curry say, I want out of my Under Armour.
Right. Yeah.
Teams is different. I agree with that. So it is. I see what you're trying to make that analogy between the two, but I feel like it's.
But that's where the big money is. So it's under the realm of whatever contract is giving you the most money, and that happens in the NBA as well because that's their big contract for the most part, unless you're LeBron James.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I agree with you in that. If like that is the big chunk, and you do see that a lot of times where like. Players are just like, I don't want to play for this team.
And like you said, it's about winning. And so a lot of good players get stuck on teams where they're not winning. And so they're like
a wide receiver that doesn't have a good quarterback.
Yeah, I'm out. I want out of this.
I do think there is a little bit of a difference because I do think that is a little bit of a game, right? Because you're still staying in the NFL and you're kind of bouncing around from team to team.
Are there any NBA players sponsored by Wilson?
I don't know if Wilson's in the NBA.
What is the ball that's
like that? I don't know.
Yeah, what's the ball they use?
Spalding? It might be Spalding now. They bounce around. I mean,
no, nice punt. Yeah.
But that would be the thing, and I'm sure it still does happen. But again, like
it's not big news because that's not where
a lot.
Yeah, the NBA's brand is so big as well.
Now, someone like a Stephen Curry came out and said like, I'm leaving Under Armour. Yeah. Like I'm leaving Under Armour early because they did X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to Nike. That's one thing.
Sure.
Like, and I think that's where this is a bigger story, because if it simply was just a money thing of where it's like this company is offering me 10x and Prodigy was only offering me 4x and that was it, I think it would be a different narrative moving forward than Gannon listing a bunch of things that Prodigy didn't do and then also talking about the product. I think that's a big one. They are the product.
Sure, but then again, we can look. I feel like it's in all kinds of different realms. I guess in sports, you could go PGA Live Tour, and now it's, like that'd be like the Pro Tour, and then another tour coming in, and then them being like, no, you can't go over there or whatever.
I think if that happened in disc golf, I think players would go. I mean, sure. I would potentially go.
Yeah,
I don't think there's been enough. It's a little bit different too, because disc golf.
No, but I'm saying then. PGA got mad, and then there was all kinds of lawsuits, and I'm saying this with lawyers and stuff.
It's money,
and
it's money. Money causes all these issues.
It happens. This is normal. It happens.
Yes.
That's my point. This isn't like a weird thing.
Not good for Prodigy, not good for Gannon, good for disc golf, because I think this happening, I think, will awaken not just manufacturers being like, hey, we need to make sure our contracts are freaking good, but also players, like you said, to make sure, like, let's not have a friend that went to law school and isn't actually doing any sort of lawyer work look over your contract. Like if you're, and this is how I worked. It's all like what matters to you. Even if it seems like such a minuscule thing, if you believe in yourself that you're going to make a crap ton of money in disc golf, or you're going to be a huge value, even though you're signing a small contract, $10,000 a year, let's say. If you still think you're going to be big, like you were saying, get a lawyer, pay them $1,000, $2,000, whatever, because it'll be worth them making sure in the contract that it says, you know what, if I become a top 50 player next year, this, and this happens. Yeah. If I become a top 25 player, this, and this happens. Mm-hmm. Because now your $10,000 contract could become a $50,000 contract in 1 year.
Yeah.
And that should happen too. Like, I don't want manufacturers taking advantage of players either. Like, I don't want them to be like, hey, you signed a 4-year contract that we're only have to pay you $1,000. And you're like, I'm the number 1 player in the world. It's like, sorry, you're stuck to it. Yeah. Like that's on the player for signing that contract.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if the manufacturer, like you said, is not willing to do the things that you're asking,
that's not your spot.
Then maybe you need to go find somewhere else.
Yep.
Maybe someone else is worth it.
But again, Prodigy's well within their right to be like, no, we don't want you to leave. And then it escalated to this level, and he's well within his right to be like, no, I want to leave.
Yep. All right. Gannon should be actually coming at some point pretty soon. So let's roll through some of these other topics while we wait for Gannon.
I'll be there in 12 minutes.
When was that?
3 minutes ago.
Okay. So 10 minutes from now, Gannon. Silas, hopefully everything's going good. I know we just talked for like a long time there without any sort of, I don't even know what's happening.
It's a great topic.
It is a fascinating topic. We got the text from Silas. All good. Sweet. Hopefully everyone's watching, is enjoying the show. I'm fascinated to hear what Gannon has to say. But let's real quick roll through the All-Star event.
Let's be nice. Let's be easy on the.
I'm not. You're the one talking. I told you I'm going to sit back and listen. Because I'm not siding with either one of them.
No, for sure.
I don't know the situation. I'm just interested to hear what he has to say on it. But
he might just say like,
I can't say anything.
I have nothing to say.
I mean, that would be fascinating as well. He drove all the way here just to be like, I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, we're still at the Las Vegas Challenge, and he's still the guy who took second place last year.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of things.
No, there's still stuff we can talk about for sure. All right, All-Star event. Big takeaways for me from this. Ricky pulling out, obviously, right before the event. A few things I'll just critique with his video talking about him not being in it.
Okay.
One, I don't think he should. He's talking about a wrist injury. I think like my wrist is just messed up, and like I want to be like I don't know if that was a good play. Like
I didn't see it.
I think maybe like put like an ace bandage around it, and just show up and be like, yeah, super. Just to. And that was kind of some joke. Obviously, we know his situation with Lyme disease. He has flare-ups.
Yep.
And, if something does become inflamed, heck, your wrist, your throwing hand.
Brutal.
I mean, what do you expect him to do? Go out there and throw lefty? It was bad timing for him, obviously, with the press conference right before where Paul was like, I want to switch to go head-to-head against Ricky. And Ricky was like, I don't think you can do that. Like, it's set already. Like, obviously, a lot of people at home had fun with, Ricky pulling out and not competing. But he replaced himself with Corey Ellis, which
he balled out.
If I was going to replace someone for a putting contest, Corey would probably be close to the top.
Yeah.
If not, maybe the top. We also had – this is what I'll say. I think we need to see drastic changes from the actual events.
Yes.
This is what I think. Long distance contest. You can't have a roller decide long distance contest. Okay. Where the disc hits, that's where it is.
You could do like a long roller contest.
Who's what? Perfect question. You've got long distance contest where the disc hits is how far it is. And you got long roller contest. They're happening at the same time. 150 yards apart from one another.
Yeah.
Which one has a bigger crowd?
Depends on who's there.
Who's going to go to which one? You think AB is going to go? You think David Wiggins is going to go roller? No, they're going at the same time. You have to, everyone has to pick.
Oh, yeah. They'd be doing the air shot for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So people want to see the disc go far in the air.
Yep.
Now, Kyle Klein was the only one that could figure out the roller like that. He threw an incredible roller. So I'm not discounting Kyle, but Kyle also will be the first to tell you that he had no business winning the long distance contest because he threw a couple of air shots and they were significantly shorter than Calvin's.
Well, and it was all downhill.
Yeah,
I would say no.
Also, why are we trying to have it land in a wishbone? Fairway. What are we doing? Let's have.
I think probably part of it has to do with the venue.
Correct. It's the best. They can't go to They can't go to a hole that's way far away.
Yeah.
So it's the best that they have. The other thing I'll say though that I would love to see is a drone overview, but let's paint lines or have a big 300-foot sign. Let's have something because it was really hard to watch. It was really hard to get
that'd be cool to see the roll. At least the roller just zip by the 500.
By 4, by 5.
Yeah.
Or even in the air, you can have a shot and cut to an angle where you see it just at 500 feet, it's still 50 feet in the air flying. Because we were just left with the disc would land, some guy would run to it and bush now, and we would just wait.
Yeah.
So that I would love to see. They got to do something different for accuracy. Accuracy is by far the worst. It was the same thing that they did last year. They just put up ropes, and it's throw under the rope, throw over the rope, throw to the left of the rope, and it's I can't even see the rope.
Yeah.
My I would love to hear what you think would be a good one. Mine is let's get faces of the other captain and throw it at all different areas, distances and stuff, and have it on breakable objects. And the first team, team to smash the other team's faces wins.
That's hilarious, and I love it. Yeah,
like
that'd be great.
That would just be cool.
And I think the putting contest, lame.
Yeah, how do you fix that? How do you make
this is how you
cool?
fix it? This is how you fix it. Kind of like in the NBA where they go through the drills. Ooh. It has to be inside, and then
So you're thinking speed? You need to run. You need
maybe
to be quick.
Yeah, maybe to where you have to make a certain amount through something, and then you go to the next station, and it's like object golf of or obstacle golf. You get what I mean? So you have to do
the tire, and you got to putt through the tire.
That'd be bad too, but like colorful, cool looking things, I don't know.
Okay.
You get what I'm going?
I see what you're saying.
Inside, because one of the things is with putting is you put wind out there and it's not putting anymore. No. Like the best putting stroke needs to be done in the calm.
Yes.
Inside, I think that's what I think. Inside.
We want to give these players the ability to show off their skills at the highest level.
Yep.
And if the conditions, I don't think the conditions are that bad.
No, they weren't.
But if the conditions were bad,
then it wasn't visually appealing as well.
No.
And I think
it looked like I was literally watching someone's practice.
Yeah, like some
putting practice.
Exactly. And so if you did that inside a gym or inside some sort of indoor facility with cool colors and stuff, and they're doing the thing with great, kind of like what?
I'll one up you.
Okay.
I'll one up you.
Like the Jomez putting games
head-to-head
are fun for people to watch.
Head-to-head.
But it's filmed in a way that is visually appealing. You get what I mean?
But what if we go, I like what you're saying. Let's go head-to-head. They have they have a red and they have a blue. 100%. Same obstacle course, essentially. 3, 2, 1. First one to finish. So now instead of just watching one person now it's like competition, speed, moving quick. And you can see like, holy cow, that guy's on station 3. I'm on station 1. I gotta something.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I think something needs to change because I agree with you. It's not the most entertaining. And then on the playing side of things, I think doubles is fun. I think that's cool. The singles, we kind of already see a lot of that already. And they don't do match play, which is also another weird one to me.
I think they should for sure do match play.
I think you got to do match play because then that changes the strategy.
Yeah.
And it also makes it to where someone's not like 8 under.
And you can go for the cool shots.
Yeah, and if someone has a blow-up hole and someone birdies it, it's not over.
I love that.
So we'll see what they end up doing. Silas, are you able to pull up that video that I have? I don't know if – I want to see if
and before we move forward, again, the advertising beforehand was lame. It was lame. But then – I thought it was interesting that then at the end, when Ricky drops out, all of a sudden there's a post up right away. Bam. Breaking news. Like, how about breaking news? There's an all-star event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, breaking news. There are actually a bunch of good players playing this weekend. I don't know if there was enough advertising for the event.
Oh, so I said the link is broken. Hold on. Let me see if I'm going to text it to you because I don't know if you actually have seen this video. So I want to get your, obviously if I can get your initial. So as that works right there, the thing I just texted you. So I don't know how.
Where is this kid at?
The link works too in the notes thing as well, Silas. This happened, and I was dumbfounded when I saw it.
Okay.
And I just want to see. Hopefully, Silas can make it happen here. I want to get your, because I do believe you to be probably. I would consider you a top putter, but I'd also consider you like someone that really understands the putt.
Yeah.
And can teach it well. So we'll see if you can pull that up. While we wait in the meantime, let's quickly talk about, because we are talking a little bit about men's and women's with the All-Star event. Let's talk. Well, first off, shout out to Alexis Mandujano. She beat everyone in
the putting. Yeah,
everyone that was there. That was an impressive performance. The PGA Tour and the LPGA just announced that they're going to have a new mixed team event, the Grant Thornton Invitational, with 32 teams made up of Tour and LPGA players, set for December in Naples to replace the QBE. I just butchered that whole thing. Essentially, the PGA and the LPGA are getting together to do it. Now, I asked, do we see this as a potential for disc golf? And everyone was like, they already have that at Worlds. No one pays attention to that.
Which is sad.
No one's going to pay attention to a doubles tournament one day right before the World Championship. Yeah. Oh, you're saying sad in the sense that it needs to have its own thing. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying sad as like people need to be paying attention. Like, no, it's during Worlds Week. No one's going to be paying attention to anything during Worlds Week with Worlds right there.
Yeah.
I think something like that could do well. Now, I don't think we can go deep 32. I don't think the FPO field is as deep as the LPGA field. So I don't think, the difference between the number one player in the world and LPGA in the 32nd is way closer than the number one player in the world for FPO disc golf in 32nd.
Yeah.
I think you could go like 12. You could do 24 people and have a cool like 12 person, 12 team event. I mean, do you think that's like a viable option to have?
I think you could
a set-alone event.
I think you could have the 32. It's just that some people won't play well. Just like in theirs, there's somebody going to get last. So you can have as many players as you want.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, we might have the man himself.
Gannon?
Oh, Alden's here then. Hello. Yeah, we got you in the middle seat, sir.
Alden is my rider. Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Silas, you got saved by Gannon. You were never able to pull up. I'll have to show you with my phone.
Okay.
How close do I have to hold this to my
I think Silas will text me if you have to hold it closer. I think you're good.
Okay.
Like you can just kind of probably.
It's kind of heavy.
Well, it's just kind of uncomfortable to hold. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of just chill. Like, yeah.
You need like clip-ons.
You can be natural. Mike is good, Silas says. So you're good to go.
Okay.
How are you doing, man?
Just trying to get my game right. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Just trying to get as much practice in as possible with the discs that I have to work with, and just trying to win this tournament, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, we discussed already. We kind of went through essentially what is out already for all the public. I'm sure you're probably not able to really expand on a lot of things, but I just kind of want to, before Yuli, because I know Yuli has some questions for you, I just kind of want to know like what this has been, because this is unlike, I would say, anything else in disc golf, especially since I've been in the sport, of where there is so much like team support with the manufacturers, right? With this idea of like, people are just like, I'm diehard Discraft, I'm diehard Innova. And now we're starting to also see with players as well, where it's like, I'm diehard Ricky, I'm diehard Paul. This is the first time we've really ever seen like where people are having to like almost pick sides, if you will. And it's obviously everyone's talking about it. And I'm sure your social media has been insane. And I just want to know like how you're handling that, because I know if that was me, it would be a lot for me to deal with. And you haven't been in this game long. Like I'm an old fart. I've dealt with a lot of crap, and I know that this would be like crazy for me to go through. And it's like you kind of just almost had your coming out party last year, getting excited for this season, and then all of a sudden this happens. And now you've got the first event happening this week. You got second last year in it. Like what is mentally, how has it been? The stress, the pressure, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've gotten a ton of support just from friends and family and random people like reaching out. So that's been nice, just to know that people have my back no matter what happens with the situation. For what I can say, I'll be throwing Prodigy until further notice, basically. And like I said, I have probably 5 to 7 discs I'll be throwing this weekend. Like 2 or 3 drivers, a couple fairways, and mid and a putter, basically. That's kind of what my bag's looking like.
Now, have you condensed it for a reason? Is this less disc molds or discs than you normally would have?
I do actually tend to carry less discs than most people. I'm more of like a 17 disc person. Okay. And I probably do only stick to like 8 main discs, and then the others are for specific shots, or there's like a little bit of wind that will make me throw something out like more stable or something like that, or like a roller, which I'm not great at, but it's nice to have it if you need to throw it. So it all kind of happened because for for the timing of everything was kind of weird. So for the All-Star event, I was gonna go like open bag actually.
Okay.
And actually when
we saw that your sponsor wasn't on the back. So that was kind of the giveaway of like this wasn't something.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming the Disc Golf Pro Tour had reached out to you to be like, who do you want on the back of your jersey prior to the event? Yeah.
And then I can't really say much about that. It was kind of all up in the air. Yeah. So end up going blank, just kind of in case, and I can do whatever happened at that point. And then so when I did find out kind of all this happened, I didn't have really any Prodigy with me. I had so for like the mixed bag I was going to play with, I did have like about half Prodigy, just because I still wanted to play good with the discs I knew.
Yeah.
So I had that, and that was probably like 7-8 discs, and then kind of just went to that event, learned that when it happened, and then just played with those discs and played pretty solid. The game felt all right, and I feel like in a way, it's kind of fun because it limits like what shots you have to throw. It's like, you have to throw this disc, do whatever you want with it. However, the hole shapes, it's not really a lot of make the disc do the work. It's a lot of you doing the work, which can be fun sometimes. But yeah, that's the reason I don't really have many discs, because it all kind of was unexpected. Because Do you think that is going to like limit your performance just a little bit? I know you said like obviously you had specialty discs for certain things. Do you think having those 8 discs or 8 molds or however you want to call it versus having a complete open bag where you could pick and choose, do you think you would be better off performance wise if you were able to pick and choose? A little bit, probably like not anything major, maybe like 1 or 2 strokes around where I'd feel, and I'd probably closer to like 4 shots around where I'd prefer to throw something else, especially like, I have my really overstable driver for wind or just placement shot or flex shot where, maybe I need a little bit more distance, but I still need overstability. I don't really have that. All I have is super overstable and then a bomber driver. Gotcha. So my mom is coming into town. She just got in with my discs, my old bag basically tonight. Okay. So I probably after tomorrow's round, if I'm going to try to learn some stuff. But yeah, on the Jomas card tomorrow. So just going to stick to a couple molds. Feeling all right. What kind of weather you got to try to figure out some discs? It's not the easiest weather for that either. Yeah, that was the one thing that was going through my head. Like, I'm not going to get effective like field work or like learning my discs because it's going to be like 30-mile-per-hour winds pretty much all the day tomorrow for everyone, honestly. Which might actually be good because you might just be like, this is the disc that's working for me. Just going stable every shot. You just ride it. Typically stick to something like really overstable. And I'm already a flex player anyway, so I throw those overstable discs no matter what. So instead of throwing them flex, I'll probably be throwing them flat. Just placing them in the fairways. Putting is going to be just fine. I feel like putting's just going to depend on how I feel. It's not going to be because the discs or anything. It's just going to be how my putt feels at the time. And sometimes you have that 10-mile-per-hour headwind where you maybe change your angle, throw something more overstable, you throw it flat, to where now I kind of have to throw something that's a little flippier on hyzer because I don't have that slot. So, luckily Vegas is pretty wide open. There's not too much shot shaping. You can kind of just place the disc wherever you want, and however you want to get there is how you kind of get birdies out here. And obviously putting's huge with, it being pretty much wide open. That's what's going to separate people. I feel like that's why I did great here last year. I felt like I made every putt. And I'm looking forward to it actually. Just kind of see how I can push myself. And if I can, get up there for a chance to win after 3 rounds, that'd be amazing. You do a little weight training this offseason? Yeah, a little bit. Not body weight training. Right. Yeah. You look a little. You're looking thick, dude. A little thicker. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I put on 25 pounds after USDGC. Nice. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah.
Me too. But not the same pounds, my guy.
Oh, crap. Yeah, I've definitely noticed a difference in my distance. I feel like I'd probably throw 50 feet further now. Mm-hmm. I can hit 600 flat ground with no wind, pretty comfortably, like pretty consistently, I'd say. Not too much more than that. I don't have like crazy, like world-class distance, but golf distance
That's world-class distance, by the way.
600's up there, yeah.
So, well, I mean like David Wiggins or Albert Tom or Anthony Burrell.
Well, that's like
That's insane.
But those are like three of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And that's like a 360 out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a whole, like, I actually went and just played a practice round, not even like really warmed up out of the
All right, we're back. You guys, unfortunately, you literally missed Gannon. Just literally said some of the craziest stuff you've ever. I mean, I'm speechless at what he just said. Unfortunately, it's not on here, so It is what it is.
This can pick up everything?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we're good. Silas will call me if we're not good. I probably should not have my phone on silent moving forward with Silas.
I know,
right?
I had to point that out to you.
You pointed that out. Like, very, very noticeable. He said we're all good. Okay. I had another question, I guess. I'm blanking on it now with all the
I'll ask a question.
Yeah, you got something.
I guess your guys' relationship was great. You had mentioned Will Shoestrike, your favorite player, favorite discs. Great relationship for a long time. Winning always takes care of a lot of things. Did you see it coming? And I can share, I guess, when I left Prodigy, I knew there was going to be a little bit of tension. You know, I knew it was coming, but did you expect something like this, or did it kind of blindside you?
A little bit blindsided. You know, I feel like that's you know, some people with every company, like that's the company, you know, they work for, they love, and you know, it can hurt if a player leaves that, you know, has been connected for a long time, and you know, people are just going to react differently to different things, and you know, that's kind of what happened. You know, it's unpredictable with, you know, whoever the person is, and that's just how it is, I guess.
Yeah, and I was telling Brody, you can almost take it as a compliment of course they want to keep you.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
which is a great compliment, being a top manufacturer, and that means that you're a top player, which is good. And what about like moving forward? Do you feel like there's an end in sight, or do you feel like this could last a while?
There's definitely an end in sight. Hopefully, I just want to get whatever happens, just get it resolved in the next couple weeks. That's my goal.
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks. And
that's good to hear.
You know, worst case could be a lot longer, but I think we're just trying to make this as clean as possible. No, you know, no hard feelings for anybody. It's all just, you know, business, and that's just how it needs to be. Still gonna love everyone from every company, no matter what happens. So, yeah.
Was there ever? I don't know if regret's the right word, but was there ever a time where you're like, dang, the initial contract I signed maybe wasn't the best? Of like, maybe we left out a few things that I wish we could have had in there. Was there any of that kind of thought, kind of?
I don't think so. Because I signed that contract. It was a 2-year deal. When I think I was 16, and it was after 2021. And
how old are you?
17. 17. My birthday's in May. So, yeah, I was actually pretty happy with it at the time, because I won. I mean, I think I won Pro Tour top 5, maybe 3 top 10s in 2021, and then 2022, my worst finish was 25th place, and I had only 5 outside the top 10 finishes, and obviously the major win, and then the Silver Series of Masters Cup, which is still pretty big. That had a great field, that tournament. So
hard course too.
Yeah, I think the contract was pretty fair, actually. But just like anything, like you have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I didn't expect to. You know, my goal coming into 2022 was to get top 25. You know, I'd be okay with like a 20th place. You know, now if I miss outside the top 10, I'm pretty frustrated. You know, some of my worst events, I'm like, I got 12th place and it felt terrible. Which, you know, I don't want to sound like it's like, I don't know.
No, you're at the level now where you have built your career, and where you're at is it's win or bust.
And I think it's just because the way I play too is like and how I like formulated my game plans and how I play percentages and how I play the course is like, I don't have to play that great to my standards to finish good, if that makes sense. Yeah. Just because and just for some reason, I'm able to throw the shots that I see in front of me, and it seems fairly easy at the time. And I think you just got to have confidence in what you're looking forward to, or like looking to do. So I think with the way I play, like, you know, that's just, if I can throw it, you know, if I throw out the same hyzer every time right there and never mess that hyzer up. You know, I think I was top 5 lowest bogey rate, lowest OB rate. So I don't drop many strokes. So
I think with you, like watching you play, it's simply, if you're putting well that week, you have a chance to win. Yeah. And if you're not putting that well that week, you're probably gonna get a top 15.
I think statistically, I was second best putter on tour.
Yeah.
Below Andrew Marweed by a decent ways. He's so good at putting. But I'll take second. That feels pretty good overall.
Do you have trouble? Because I would say with social media, this is a real issue with just society in general, of people constantly looking at others and saying like, why don't I have that? Or I can't believe that person has that and I don't. Did you feel any of that with some of these big contracts, the Ricky contract, Kona, Kristen, the Simon contract, all these contracts that have now kind of been public with numbers? Was there ever a time where you were like, well, what the heck? Why am I getting this? Like, I should be deserving that?
Maybe with a couple players, but not really. Just because I know like it takes time to build up. Yuli sells way. You do too. Obviously, like, you guys sell way more discs than I do, and that's there'd be no reason why you guys wouldn't have a bigger contract than me, just because that's what companies are looking for. Is you're looking to sell discs, you're looking to get your name out there, promote the product, get it on all levels, and have the fans. And I just only being on tour for 2 years, it's hard to get the fans that quick. Where older people have had more time to get those fans, and obviously I've had my issues with being slow player, and that kind of killed me for the first year and a half on tour,
which you've greatly increased. Gotten way better.
Yeah, I think at the All-Star event, I know at least in the doubles match, there was every shot was 15 seconds. It felt
your
like
top 5 fastest players.
I'm gonna be the fast player. Yeah, fastest player on tour.
OB rate, I just go quick.
Yeah, and now playing slow is a weird transition, because back then it was like when I was playing pretty.
Did you have a tough time just pulling the trigger? Was it a mental block? I've always wondered that.
Yeah,
was it just
it wasn't purposely. It wasn't purposely taking long.
Or was it you were just like, I can't go right now because I'm not going to throw.
So if you took 45 seconds to putt, and I asked you after you putt, how long do you think you took? You just didn't. You would not have that concept of how much time.
I'd probably go 30 seconds. I'd probably say I took 30 seconds.
So you still,
I'm not completely
unaware of was it 12 seconds? So you have an idea this is taking a long time.
But there's times even now, I think I'll have no issue with time this year at all, because All-Star event was and there's still a lot of pressure at the All-Star event just because you want to win. I mean, and I know it doesn't mean much, but I still wanted to just play how I would in the tournament, and I was playing pretty fast. It felt like just because there's not, for some reason, I just don't feel as stressed as I used to be, and especially on the putting green.
Well, that's interesting, because we have a video of you taking 45 seconds. Can we pull that up?
Silas? No.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm completely.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah. So a couple years ago, beginning of last year, I just putting. It was just I was so scared to make a mistake. I was so scared to miss a 30-footer and be like, crap. Either I just took way too long and missed, or what happens if I miss this putt? And which is weird because my stats say otherwise, but there's just always doubts in my mind on tee shots the same way, depending on the situation. It's just kind of everything.
I think everyone should be very scared, because when Gannon gets that confidence,
where he can go,
it's gonna be really, because the way you're talking. Because I remember you. I don't know if we were just talking off the course or something, but you were telling me yeah, dude, I'm just so scared to putt. I'm like, you haven't missed a putt inside 65 feet.
I mean,
how are you telling me you're scared? So
it's all in my follow through. I mean, you can see my follow through.
You can tell the difference between, and even when you did the putting challenge at the All-Star event, your follow through, I
was so scared.
There's certain stabby ones, and I'm I
was shaking at that.
I'm when this dude is confident of where he's just stepping up to a 70-footer, is I'm making this. We should all be terrified for our jobs.
The All-Star event putting challenge was not great. One, I was probably the most nervous I've ever been in a long time.
Isn't it crazy how team events can do that?
Well, it was the fact I went last too. I was I wanted to go second, and
he needed to make. I don't know if you saw it. He kind of butchered this one station,
it was so bad,
and had to make the final putt to win.
And that
the whole thing.
And I took 10 seconds on that. Yeah,
I cashed it.
It was a 45-footer.
Yeah.
I had to make it or I lost.
Yeah,
so
I missed the first 4.
Yeah,
then cashed the last one to win.
And I probably beat everyone by a minute on how fast I went. I mean, I was going.
Can we talk about the time thing real quick? I think the time thing's stupid. I think having a specific time limit for every shot is stupid.
I agree.
You should not be slow on the tee, right? When it's your turn to throw, you should not have to go through a 45-second throwing routine. Okay. But if you throw a shot and you land in a spot that you've never been before, and you've got trees here and you've got OB here and you're
way off the fairway.
Take a minute and a half.
Yeah.
You're playing for $10,000. You're playing for you're playing for something. Like the time limit thing is stupid. If you have a 20-footer putt with nothing in the way, yes, you should not take more than 30 seconds.
It causes too much like war, I feel like.
But the idea of like, it's like, bro, I'm like, I got a thorn up my butt. Like, I'm going to need some time with this shot.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say on the time thing. I think certain shots that are basic and easy, yes, we should not be taking 30 seconds. But I'm also, I don't like the time thing of where it's like, that guy took a minute to throw that shot. It's like, well, yeah, it was a really weird shot, and he had to think through a whole lot of stuff. Like, I want to see that.
I mean, I don't even know if you guys have heard this or anyone watching, but like when I was at USDGC on my putt on 17, that 60-footer I had, probably about 15 seconds into my routine, some guy across the lake yelled 30 seconds at me, and you can see me look over.
Interesting.
And actually, so Silas Schultz, my friend, was standing right next to him when he said that. It was like this old guy. And he just screamed 30 seconds at like the biggest moment of my life. And then when I took it was 37 seconds on my second shot on 18 to win, every comment was just like, come on, dude, 30 seconds. He should have been stroked. He didn't actually win. He broke the rule. Like, in that kind of a moment, I feel like you should like.
I don't care. I don't care if you take two. I don't care if you are struggling to go putter, scuba, turbo, and you're like going, because in those certain moments, what needs to happen is like that builds drama. If you're going back to your bag because you're like indecisive on the shot because of the moment, that builds the drama.
Yeah.
If you're like sitting there and I'm watching Yuli's tee shot and I'm the next one up and I'm just watching it and it lands, I'm like, nice shot, man. Yeah. And then now I have to walk to my bag to get my disc to then walk back to then throw my shot. Like, that's stuff where it's like, we can speed up the pace of play.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you rush a putt that will literally change the
course of my life.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. And again, right now we are dealing, we talked about this earlier, the money is in the sponsors.
Yeah.
That's not always going to be the case. Yeah. You might have a putt that if you miss, you lose $150,000.
Good. Yeah.
Do we really want someone to be like, 3, 2, 1? Like,
no, I agree, but it is a rule, and that is what we have
to do.
Rule. It's a bad rule, but it is a rule. Yeah. Now, I would love to have a minute. I think a minute's a good amount of time to do all your shots, and then I think you should have a time extension. You should have a couple of those in your bag to where in the round you can be like, I'm going to use my extension here.
Yeah.
And then if you go over that, maybe there should be some like a TD or a what do you call them? Marshal come up and be like, hey, you need to speed it up. But I don't get this 30-second thing.
I think you can, but to me, it's like, if I know I'm going to need a lot of time on a shot, I try to get to my shot quick.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's ways around to like speed up play to where I think it needs to be more on a group basis of like, hey guys, there's a 2-hole gap between you and the group in front. You all need to figure out how to play. Walk faster, take less time for like basic shots, like stop lollygagging. So I think it needs to be more like that of like, let's keep the pace of play going versus just like, hey man, you took a minute on that shot.
There's going to have to be some sort of rule. You can't just take 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I know like for me, like.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And like, there's like, I feel like if you watch any live coverage or coverage of me, like I'm always ahead of the group walking. Like I know All-Stars, I was 150 feet ahead of anyone else. The gallery was still walking when I'm lining up my putt because I want to like it was. I've always kind of been that way where like I've never been slow to get to my disc. Like I'm always anxious to throw again, not just throw, but like kind of just get the situation. I mean, we're pros, like we're trying to be as specific as we can possibly be, and if that means analyzing the shot a little bit longer, that's what it takes. But yeah, I remember just specifically at All-Stars, I wasn't I wasn't playing great, but like I had like a 38 footer I needed to make for birdie, and I went up there, walked. I was 100 feet in front of the whole gallery, and I can see them out of the corner of my eye. They're still walking up behind me, but like I got to my lie. So if we take the time of how long it actually took the whole group to finish the hole, even if I took a minute and a half, I got there 30 seconds before the rest of the field even did.
Yeah.
So like
it did take a long time to get here today.
I'm sorry. No, we blame Alden for taking every wrong turn.
I told him 6. I was fine with him showing up at 6. I will have to say, though, I do give you a lot of credit because I think having that social pressure of people constantly on every video, this guy takes forever, discounting your achievements because of your pace of play.
The second I take over 30 seconds, I get crap. But Macbeth, he can take as long as he no one's gonna say anything about him.
It is. I just want to. I'm not gonna say anything on that, but I'll give you credit on the fact of you saw that you were doing something that you probably should change, and instead of being that person being like, I'm just gonna do what I want and complain about it, you fixed the problem.
Yeah, because
that's a big.
My mom told me like every turn, like, hey, speed up, buddy. I don't want that to happen to you again.
Yeah,
like, I don't want it to happen to me either. I want to be a likable player, and like that, like if people don't really like slow players as much, just they're not as fun to watch. It's like for a
I think that's all production though. I don't want to.
Well, watching live,
hot topic.
Yeah, watching live, it's not as bad. But like when on Disc Golf Network watching, like it's really bad. But when you're in person, I feel like it's not as bad.
We got you on Jonas. Did we speed that up?
Well, I'll say this. I'll give you a hot take. Like if someone. There are times where they'll have like a mic situation, and I think let's just throw the scenario. If you had a caddy and you were discussing about a shot coming up, that's fascinating to hear.
Yeah.
Right. That's very interesting. I want to hear that, even if it's 35 seconds. Now, if you're sitting at a putt for 30 seconds,
I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
That's on the production to be like, this guy's taking forever. Let's cut away, and we can just. Not every shot in disc golf has to be live.
No, and you can
literally show that shot 5 seconds after it happened, and no one will know that it wasn't live.
Yeah, and it makes some players look terrible.
I agree. I think a lot of it has to go on the production of they are going to stay, and you see this in other sports. They're like, oh, this guy's going to blow up. He just missed a putt. Let's stay on him. And then there's other players where they're doing the craziest stuff, but it's never captured on camera. And so
big part of it is they don't have two cameras usually. Second card, third, or first card, second.
They don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. They don't have anywhere to go.
Because the other cameras are just filming the ground, walking to something. Yeah. And this is where I think they are doing this else. I think they did this at USDGC. They filmed every shot at 17, right? Like that's how they got the paid shoe ace and all this. If they started doing more of that, of where it's like, hey, let's just get to the course. I know live doesn't start until 2:00. Let's get to the course at 8 and film every shot on this hole. Well, now you have all this backed up footage of where you could be like, okay, this person's they don't know if this disc is inbounds or out of bounds. Instead of just sitting around watching them do nothing, let's show a shot earlier today and bounce back. They need to have more stuff or packages. They need to have more stuff to where it's not always reliant on lead card and what they're doing at the moment. That being said, though, hole 17, 18, maybe even 16, depending on the course, you better not cut away. I need to I want that buildup of Gannon walking down the fairway of 18.
The guy yelling
30 seconds.
Yeah,
hurry up,
that. But I don't need to see Gannon walking down hole 6, round 1 tomorrow.
I know. I'm a fan of disc golf. Huge still. I'm a bigger fan than I feel like most fans that watch us. So I go back and watch the live coverage after the tournament or the round's over. And I'll go back even maybe I had a couple cool shots. I'm like, why didn't you show me? You're showing people walking, they show the lead card. Yeah, they're just walking down hole 4's fairway, the entire fairway until they get to their putt. When, there is a camera on my card. Why am I not, even if I threw a terrible shot, give them something else than just walking down the fairway?
Yeah, there's a time and place for it. I think, again,
it'll get better.
We've seen so bad. We've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I've always said this. If you could see what other sports and stuff have
at their their production side of things, and then you look at what disc golf
Their
has.
disposal.
The fact that disc golf puts on the product that they currently do with what they have is incredible.
It's really good,
and they continue to move the bar up. All right, so I mean, you obviously are coming in to this tournament, finishing in that epic, tiebreaker last year with Drew. You've got good thoughts here. I mean, how are you feeling? Obviously, the weather, we haven't really discussed too much. We haven't got into that. But how are you feeling with the weather, the courses? Now there's only 2 courses instead of 3. Like, what are your thoughts going into the tournament as far as, like, performance goes?
Yeah, I think worse weather benefits me for sure. Like I said, low OB rate, low bogey rate. If I can
throw stable,
then I already throw over stable. And I feel like I'm a pretty smart player, know when to go for stuff, know when not to. So as long as I can play somewhat good, let other people make the mistakes. Don't bogey, don't drop strokes, don't drop places, play safe. And, let's just be intelligent, be intuitive on the shots you're making, the putts you're going for, how much you're going to run them, drives, playing to the tailwind side of the basket so it's an easier putt, all that type of stuff. I think it's going to benefit me. Obviously, it's fun to play in nice conditions because that way it makes it completely fair for everybody. But when it does get kind of swirly out, crazy windy out, I think it'll as long as I can keep level-headed and don't blow up, which I never really do. I guess I might have a not great round, but I never blow up. Just keep playing solid. Just get a birdie here and there. I think with round 1 tomorrow, 6-7 down is going to feel amazing. Potentially even lead card with how windy it's looking. And Vegas added a lot of OB, made the courses a little bit tougher this year. So just play smart, play safe, throw over stable, land in the fairway, let the other people make mistakes.
I have some other softball questions moving forward, but I have one more hard question. Do you have any other hard questions to give?
I got a closer question.
Okay, well, let me hit him with this. You hit him with the closer, and then Gannon, you can obviously you got stuff to do. So
one question though.
Before your closer.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
okay, all right.
But I just thought about it, and it's so hilarious that I might get this answer. But when you said I want to throw it to the tailwind side, in my career, I've never thought, but maybe a couple times, I really got to get this to the tailwind side. I've never been that. I've never been that good. I don't think to where I'm getting this.
I'm not that good either, but I'm I want to throw it there. I can't do it, but I want to throw it there.
How many times do you actually do it?
All the time. That actually do it?
Yeah. And
I don't know.
I'm
still trying to do it
as close as possible. Yeah. But I'm not
that's like you saying you play darts and you're I'm not trying to hit the bullseye. You're
no. Because hear me out.
You're not trying to hit the bullseye.
If you get it really close.
That is true. That's a good darts player. He actually knows.
Tailwind might be farther past the basket.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to park the basket, right? And so I'm not trying to go way past the basket to make sure that I have a tailwind.
So I mean,
giving it that extra 4% to just get where you want to go.
But you want to be
we're talking wind,
But you want to have but you want to have an uphill putt versus a downhill putt, right? If it's a slanted green.
Yeah, I guess I've never been that good.
Or you don't even do that. You're just trying to throw it as close as possible.
I think I just throw it as close as possible.
All right.
I'm curious. You guys actually think that way, and you're yeah, that's where I'm going. I have to be on that side of the basket.
Yes, I don't do it.
I think
try.
I mean, I try. I guess I try.
I almost
I would love to be over there. I don't want a 30-foot headwind putt. I'm trying to get as close as possible and miss on the right side of the basket. But I guess what I'm saying
I definitely throw shots where I'm if I throw a bad shot, it's going to leave me in a good spot.
Yeah.
I definitely do that.
I guess I never actually intentionally you got to go right exactly there.
It is. See, I just wanted to clear it up.
It's kind of though, a little bit in a way. If I have let's say I have a 380-foot forehand shot and I have a headwind, I'm crap. Okay, this extra headwind, I got to yam this forehand, so I'm definitely not short. So in a way, it is playing to that backside I'm looking to play for, or right to left wind. I'm okay, hang it out way right.
Sure.
Let it So I'm not I guess intentionally saying, I'm going to put it right on that exact tailwind spot. I kind of play to what the wind is on the tee to put it it's hard to explain. Whatever the wind is, if it's a right to left wind, I'm going to play no matter what happens further right than I think I need to. That way, no matter what happens, I'm either parked or I'm tailing. So it's kind of like I'm almost aiming for a little bit of a range, like a little sliver of.
I bet you hate trees inside Circle 1, don't you? I bet you're one of those people.
No,
because you're like, oh, I'm 20 feet away. I got a tree right in front of me. It's like, well, you knew the tree was there.
I hate him.
Aim away from the tree. So you have a wide.
He's like the aiming guy.
I hate him. I'm the worst straddle putter in the world, so that's probably why.
Okay. All right.
That's why I go to a knee.
We also need, before he leaves, we gotta go pet peeves, and then you can go to the closer. Okay. Because that is like a thing.
Alden, I'll go closer, then we'll go pet peeves.
Alden, you also might have to come on and give a couple pet peeves, because that's everyone's favorite thing on here is hearing pros pet peeves. Like, okay. All right, hard hitting question. And it might not even be that hard hitting. In whichever direction moves forward, right? Because I guess there are scenarios on the table. There is that scenario where you are, quote unquote, handcuffed and you have to stay with Prodigy for the rest of the year. There is a scenario where you can go with someone else. Okay. So I'm going to go with the scenario that you can go with someone else. Are you, because you signed 2 years with Prodigy, that was your re-signing. Are you looking to do a long-term deal similar to a Simon, a Ricky, a Paul, where it's long-term? Or are you like, let's just do a 1 year deal and see where I'm at the end of the year?
I think 3 is a good number.
Okay.
It allows you and the company to work together to build, I guess to where I'm at right now, I'm probably going to, get one of those molds that I kind of get to help build myself or have some input to at least. So it gives the company time to help build that mold or, work with me on it and give exactly what I want in the mold. That takes a little bit of longer process. It allows them to commit to you and you can commit to them. There's a lot of other things, apparel, like they want to be, the company wants to be sure that they can make this and not have to worry about, like it's only a 1 year deal. We don't have time to make this without, because maybe the company won't have enough money to offer you the next year. So I think 3 years is solid. 4 years is definitely a little bit long for where I'm at right now. Just because disc golf's moving so much, my game's changing so much. I'm getting older, hopefully getting more fans, So I think 3 years is good. Yeah, allows you and the company to work together to make a quality product and what you want to have happen.
Let's just make sure too in this next contract that we get like some sort of player option of where it's like, hey, if I win every major and I win Worlds, this needs to happen. But just make sure we get a little bit, because like you're in that boat with your career of where, because this is what me and Yuli were talking about before you got here, is like I don't view you as someone that is just going to fall off the face of the mat. Yeah. That has happened in other sports. We have seen it where some guy has an incredible season, and then all of a sudden it's like the guy signed. I mean, look at what happened to Russell Wilson, right? Signed a huge contract to leave the Seahawks, went to the Broncos, and like people are literally taking statistics on when is he going to have more touchdown passes than bathrooms in his house. Like that was a legitimate statistic throughout the season.
Ben Simmons is, he was on a heater there a couple of years ago. Yep. Now he's like averaging more fouls than he is field goals.
Cannot shoot a 10-foot wide open jump. So I don't see that happening to you. I see you on the other spectrum of where like you are still not even near your ceiling. And that's where it's just like when you sign these contracts, like you said, 3 years is a lot of time. 4 years, you feel like that's a little too much. That would be my only advice to you moving forward is like, let's just, make sure you got some stuff in there just so that way you're protected in case you start balling out of control. Because ultimately, too, at the end of the day, and I've said this, I felt like Prodigy should have. I feel like this is more on them because I'll say this. I think they should have gave you an offer to where you were just like, yeah, that's incredible. And I don't know, again, you don't have to talk about it, but I don't know how it worked out. But you're just in a world of where I only see up for you. And so if you continue to climb, like, I just want to make sure you don't get in a situation where they're like, hey, man, you signed the contract. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah. It's, flexible.
Correct. Yeah. Flexible. Because, again, it should be a win-win for both.
Yeah.
As you grow, that should be good for them.
That's the best relationship you can have with the company is working together. you guys, if you're both happy, you both are gonna, I guess spend more money to make more money. Like that's kind of how I feel like that kind of works with contracts sometimes.
Can you turn that off, Brody?
Yeah,
it's on the wall.
Yeah, just making sure that everyone's happy. That way, you feel that incentive to work with the company on something that you can have the players' input, which is usually typically the best in terms of what the amateurs might like and how much the sales are going to be affected by that. So I think that's important for me as well, just to go to just within whatever company, just make sure you guys have a good bond.
All right, pet peeves. Let's get
Closer.
You want to go closer then pet peeves, or I thought you said you wanted closer after pet peeves.
I wanted pet peeves last so that we could lighten up the mood.
Oh, close it out.
Closing with this. So he was talking about other companies. Let's say that things happen. You have to stay with Prodigy. Are you at a spot right now where that's just fine with everything that's happened, or are you at a spot where you can mentally be like, you know what, it's good. I'll stay. I have my bag. There is comfort there, Is that something where you could see yourself being okay with?
Whatever it works out in terms of the path of like least resistance, just trying to make things as clean as possible. I'm not trying to push anything. I don't want to get into this to go any deeper. So I'm just gonna go with what happens smoothly and logically, and just make sure nothing bad happens. I guess is what I'm
love that.
For.
Sick. All right. Any pet peeves that jump out?
I need Alden to help me out here because
Alden, you want? Yeah, come on in.
We're gonna build off each other.
Come on
in.
in.
Can I get room here?
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he's big old chair.
Okay, you want?
So like these can be anything. These can be we've talked about when someone throws into you have a gap to hit and someone misses the gap and they turn around, they're like, gosh, this gap's impossible to hit as you're walking up to throw, and now you're thinking like, wait, is this gap impossible to hit? Like that's one. Another one that I've given is where obviously everyone knows U-disc live scoring is a thing, so it's like everyone should have an idea of what you shot if they actually want to follow you. So it's you're signing autographs and you had like one of the worst rounds of your life, and they're like, hey man, how'd it go out there? And you're like, yeah, I played terrible. And they go, you did way better than I could do. And you're like, well, yeah, that's why I'm signing your disc. I'm on this side of the fence. So there's all sorts of ways you can go about it. What jumps out at you guys?
I'll go. So fans, I always 100%. I've never turned down a signature. I always try to make the fans as happy as I possibly can. But whenever they say like kind of what you said, like, yeah, great shooting out there today after you had like a terrible round, like you had the worst round of your life, and they're like, yeah, good shooting out there today. Like for a fact they didn't check scores, or another thing is, kind of makes sense, but fans acting differently or being maybe overly excited or trying to be overly nice to you whenever you're like, I want you to just be you, don't
be normal.
Yeah, don't be or just
anything with pros. Anything that other pros have done that annoys you?
Yeah.
And Alden does.
Your face.
Mostly, I feel like we talk about it all the time. Like if there's the most obvious shot ever in front of you, and they take the complete wrong play, or shanks that just aren't even possible. Like that just makes me sick. Like you look at like I could probably throw a baseball 9,000 feet before that would happen. Like stuff that is impossible, and it happens.
See, that's where me and you are different, because I'm like, when I see that stuff happen, I'm like, yes, excellent. Let me move up the leaderboard.
I love it. It's fun. That's our comedy for the weekend.
Yeah. The amount of times, like you said, he's a fan of disc golf. He watches a lot of disc golf. The amount of times he just come up with his phone of the screen recording. He's just like, this is not possible.
There's no chance.
I almost feel like he does it more to me.
I do it a lot.
He like every morning I'll just wake up to a clip of someone shanking a shot, and he's like, can you explain how this is even possible?
It's me.
It's literally always Yuli just going straight grip lock.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all.
Yeah.
Pet peeve with pros for me, I don't like when, I guess it really doesn't get me, but I'll ask you guys, is this a pet peeve for you guys if you're not watching scores and then somebody tells you what you're at?
Yes.
Like they're like, hey, you're in fifth.
Yeah. Like, hey, dude, you're doing really good right now.
My pet peeve is people getting offended by knowing what score they're at.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my pet peeve.
Oh, I thought you were saying like you don't like when people.
No, I was going to ask you if you guys like it because then I was going to say I don't. If somebody tells,
it might be both. I think it's a pet peeve for both.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which player it was, but like me and Kyle were talking. We're literally just talking like
so it's
here.
Kyle.
No, it's not. It's not Kyle.
Is this at All-Stars?
No. This was like a year and a half ago. It was a while back.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what tournament you and Kyle are playing on the same card.
So we played the same card, and I wasn't doing too hot. He was shredding, and we were kind of just talking like, yeah, man. Oh dang, Paul's 8 down through 9, and one of the players was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it right now. Guys, I really don't appreciate that.
Brutal.
So that I don't know. I feel like no hate to that player because I like him, but
what about someone telling you good shot when it was not a good shot?
I hate that. That's the worst. Like good, or even like if it's like or good run. That's the worst thing.
That's tough.
What about this one? This one is.
But I'm guilty. Really... I say to people though, I don't even know why. I hate like if I'm 100 feet away, and I miss 3 feet over the basket, good run. No, I missed.
Okay, what about this one? Because I have a saying for when people say this to me. It's one of my worst. Is when you throw a shot and you don't throw it good, or what you were trying to do, and they say, "What was that?" And then I always say, "It was a bad shot." I don't even give them what disc it was, but they're asking me what disc I threw, and I'm like, "I threw a bad shot." And they're like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, don't like. Why are you asking me what I shaped?"
The asking what disc I think should be illegal. Yeah. I think that should be more illegal than people taking more than 30 seconds.
Bradley won't tell you what disc he throws.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should be allowed to know what someone else threw.
Yeah,
like you're gaining an advantage.
Yeah, they shouldn't tell you.
But I also don't want you coming up to me and be like, "Dude, what was
It's a pet peeve, right?"
Yeah, that is a pet peeve of mine.
It's got the stamp right on it though most of the time.
Well, you better. There's no problem. There's no problem with your head right next to my bag as I pull it out. You can do that. You should not be allowed to ask.
Another pet peeve I have is pros throwing the worst discs ever, like a flat top, like flippy driver.
I'm in on that. I'm like, how are you throwing that?
Like you have like a.
Wait, you care what other people throw? Like
it just makes me mad. Like why?
If they do it good,
like a driver that like flippy meaning like hyzer and it flips out of the hand. Like if that's flat top, that's the worst disc I've ever seen.
I remember there's one time at World, it was like Brody, me, you, and Ezra in like a room, and you just start going through Ezra's bag.
Oh yeah,
and you're like
this
just go one by one. You're like
garbage. Money. This is the worst disc ever.
And there was like 2 in money.
I will say when you guys left, because you guys kind of just put the disc back in his bag, he was because they were all just randomly thrown in there. He was.
I feel like another one. Carrying way too many discs. You should not be carrying more than 20 discs. I'm sorry.
I carry a lot of discs.
Because that just shows you're just insecure about your game. you just aren't confident in yourself, and you just.
Are you guys pro or anti the good playing with you on the tee of Poi team?
I think fist bumps are cool, but like I don't think you should say anything. Unless you all had a good time.
But what if I'm like locked in and you're trying to?
Oh, I don't care.
You have to say something.
Nothing. I don't think you can say a single thing to me that's gonna like.
But would you care if I wasn't paying attention to your fist bump? You're trying to fist bump me because are you the fist bumper? Are you the one that's gonna initiate the fist bumping on 18?
I wouldn't. I'm not like going around like, hey, fist bump. But I'm kind of just like, I'm just like looking around and I'll move.
So if no one's doing it,
I'll move towards you maybe. I'll move towards you. I'm not gonna hold my hand.
Because I'm just curious because there always is that one person that initiates.
But sometimes I forget. So like I don't know. I'd say I probably initiated a good amount of time, but other time I just completely forget about it, and then like oh yeah, cool.
Are you an initiator or not?
No, definitely not. I don't. It doesn't really affect me doing it before the tee, but I think I'd prefer to do it.
So if no one fist bumps, you're not sitting there being like, are we not gonna fist bump? No. Okay, I like it. All right.
Yeah. If you miss it,
me and Alder are on the same page. Because I'm not gonna like refuse someone, but at the same time, I'm like,
remember, we're gonna wink all the time.
I'm winking at you so much this year. It's gonna be an insane amount of winking. All right. Anything else?
Well, I know I
go?
have so many good ones. I can't think. If you
We're just gonna have to have you back on the show.
I think I have one.
Maybe in a few weeks. Once
He has one.
If he has one that he might build up, I might go crazy here.
I don't know. It's just one of the things. You're just like, why do you do that? When someone like one example would be someone putts in midair, they're like left, just immediately in their hand, they tell what they miss. They just feel the need to.
I mean, I'll say garbage. Like you're the worst.
But like they putt and then they feel the need to before it actually happens say how they missed it.
Is it just putting?
Low.
So if I throw it, I'm like, that's in the water. You don't like that?
No,
That's different.
I think it's a little different.
Okay.
I don't know.
I see what you're saying.
It depends how obviously
And
bad
it's,
it was.
It's not a common one.
Do you like people that are rooting for it to do something? So if they putt and they go drop. Yeah. Do you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So,
fine.
I think I like
Okay. All right. That's a good
I
one.
have so many that I want to say. I just can't remember.
We'll have you back on in a few weeks because apparently
Yeah.
stuff might happen in a few weeks.
I always say if I miss right and it like changes out, I'll be like, catch that.
Oh,
I'll scream out,
Here-
catch that. Like, I'll
here's
get
one.
pissed
Here's
at
one of my
that.
biggest
Catch
pet
that,
peeves.
even though it
Like
definitely shouldn't.
like my friends making fun of me about complaining. So like I'll have like a putt that could have stuck, and then they're like,
catch that.
and they're like, oh, spit out, and then they're like, I hit one chain, and when it clearly like had a chance, and they're always just like, yeah, that hit one chain, like that was not a spit out, and they're not even joking, they're just being serious about it. Or like
Those are good.
or like
Yeah.
a shot. I know
They're keeping you in line.
Yeah.
Or I throw a shot and it like kick the tree by like 1 inch, and it would have been parked. And they're like, yeah, that was just a terrible shot. Gavin does that all the time. He's like, what does he say? Like luck isn't a thing.
I mean, I will say that is a huge pet peeve when people are like, oh, if it didn't hit that tree, that was going in. Bro, it hit the tree.
What about when somebody goes, that was such a good shot?
But
It's like
I'm saying
no,
like in the woods though, like when
like
this
pick
much
something
is the
and
difference
I know what you're saying.
between a double and a
And
birdie.
you're talking about like down. You're not talking about missing the first gap.
No,
you're talking about like way down,
350 feet down the fairway,
and
it's like
mix
late
something.
flipping and you hit something and
Yes.
you take it into nowhere.
That's
land.
fine. I'm fine with that. It's when someone like there's a gap in front of you and you nick the gap and you're like, oh,
Yeah, that's your fault. That's your.
yeah.
You can. I feel like you can control the disc a good amount.
300 feet. The distance
Dude, you
is
can
out
have
of
a gust of
control.
wind 300 feet down the fairway that you could have done the shot perfect.
Yep.
And then
It's
another
the
pet
wind's
peeve I
fault.
have is like, let's say you're putting in wind from like 30 feet, and let's just say you have a let's say you have a tailwind putt. For most people, it drops. Like for me, it lifts because I putt nose down, so that it carries it. Let's just say for example, it drops most of the time. It's a clear tailwind. You putt it at like basket height. It's gonna obviously just drop in the ground, and it somehow just like lifts in the chains. And then everyone's like, "Yeah, man, nice putt. You literally missed it by a mile, and you got so lucky." I mean, it happens to all of us. But like, or you putt way too high, and you just slam right in the basket. You're like, "Wow, I definitely missed that putt."
I hate when people have the powder bag and they like
that's my
check the wind.
yeah.
It's just like on me now, and I'm like, dude,
50% of people here do that.
I hate when people try to lay up and it goes in.
Oh my!
That's
And
a
then,
good one.
and then the
I
pro,
hate that.
and then the pro tour posts about it as a good
one,
shot,
like, the top
as a
two.
top
Or-
shot.
Does that happen?
Oh yeah.
a new big
I'm just gonna
pet
say Ella
peeve-
Hansen. She had like an 80-footer, and she said she was trying to lay it up, and it was just dead center. And that was a straight downhill. I'm like, that was the worst shot ever, but it went in. That's not a good shot.
I have a new pet peeve after this session is when you guys are playing and it's clearly a raging right to left wind and you guys make a headwind 30-footer. Knowing that you guys are trying to be 30 feet on the right side of the basket, I'm going to be pissed.
I'm
gonna be
gonna
watching you
I'm gonna
guys.
wink after this. That's how I do it too.
I'll be like,
I'm gonna wink at you.
You missed that by 30 feet.
Yeah, my favorite thing is like you throw like the worst shot ever, and then like, playing with him too. Like we played a couple cards together. Like that was the worst shot ever, and like you just get so lucky. And then or like
That's how I felt when you guys were playing us in doubles. Not gonna lie.
on the
felt like you
wide
guys-
open course that you can't.
I
there's
felt
no
like you
luck
guys
at all.
got really lucky. You threw a lot of bad shots and got lucky. And that's why you
Rematch
beat us by 8 feet.
at Waco.
Yeah, why Waco?
That is a weird one.
Yeah,
It's
what?
the
the
closest
next
tournament
one?
now.
This is the next one. You want to be the first ones? You guys want to? If you guys want to do it, all right, we'll do it.
I mean,
Locked in.
Alden's
All right.
kind of saucy in Waco.
Locked in. See you in Waco.
Didn't
See you in
you
Waco.
miss Kashuk every time in Waco? Yeah. So you guys have a chance.
Perfect. We love that. I think I've also missed. I think I've missed
I thought he
cash.
was being serious.
I think I've missed cash up every time we go.
I missed cash at the first 7 events last year, so
It's
Waco
pretty
was
solid.
It is what
Was
it
it
is.
you and Ezra or you and him?
No, me and Ezra.
Yeah,
So balance it out. Ezra's great in the weights. Yeah. Sweet.
He definitely doesn't shank everything.
All right. Well, mad props to you for coming on here and talking about some of this stuff. I know that's probably not the easiest thing to do, but hopefully people see that support you for at least coming on, whichever side they're on, that you talked about it, because I know it's probably not the easiest thing going on. I think you're handling it pretty well. I don't know. You would probably be locked in a room somewhere hiding.
Yeah, no, I don't. I can't deal with that kind of stuff at all.
Yeah, I just
Just hiding.
So many people messaging me.
I wouldn't be playing.
I try to just try to look at it. I'm not gonna say I endorse it, but memes are always funny.
There you go.
They're always I don't I'm not gonna promote them obviously, but like if I see a meme, like even though
not on your main page, your burners. Yeah, you'll share
burner.
You'll share them on your burner.
Yeah, but and anything bad that happens, there's always a silver lining somehow, and
you take some fun out of it.
Yeah. You gotta find a way to make it a good situation, even though it's not. So that's anything good can you can make anything good happen out of a bad situation if you put your mind to it. So yeah.
And I thought you answered the questions great. You were awesome.
Honestly. Yeah, I'd love to have you back on at some point. Autumn, you as well. Maybe not as a driver, but maybe as a guest, and we'll see what happens.
I will let it be known it was not me that was late. He wanted to.
I had to be Adam Hamilton putting. Yeah, sorry, I did beat him.
You made it here. The show is still happening. No worries at all. We appreciate you guys coming on. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You guys, I'm sure, have other stuff to do other than talking to our old geezer selves. So appreciate it. Unless you want to stay until the end of the show, because there's a couple more topics. It's up to you, though.
Run them through me.
You want to run? Okay. Silas, what is our situation with this video? Did you ever figure out how to get this video to work? We'll see if Silas can get this video work. With that, the other thing I have is, he's got the video. Okay, so watch this screen. It should pull up. I want to get your guys' initial reaction on how this happens.
That's my pet peeve. That's literally what I just talked about. It's not even possible.
Okay, that's the first one. Silas, give us the other one real quick. There's another one. The one below it. Potentially it'll come. Because I think both of you guys are, obviously all three of you guys actually are really, really good putters. And I think this is an issue that some players have. I've never had this issue of this happens in Ultimate too sometimes, where people would the disc would just stay, or here you go. Is this the same one? There's a video underneath it, Silas. Hopefully you can pull up.
Well,
there's two videos.
I can tell you how that first one happened.
What is it? A grip? Is her finger?
Thumb and pointer
so what
finger
they're doing
right
is they're trying to put the spin on by doing this move with their fingers, right? And what happens is this one curls underneath, and so it doesn't clear, and then it goes.
So that can't happen if your index fingers is on the rim of the wrist.
Disc anywhere? I need a disc. Don't have any distance.
Grody, can you grab us a disc from my room, all the way in the back on the right?
So that's a push
Thank you,
motion,
sir.
and he's trying to do this move, just this. But what happens is this curls under.
And here you go. Wait, is that the same one? The same one, Silas.
And it just hooks on. And
we'll eventually maybe get the one below that, because the one below it, I think. He doesn't have the other one. All right. Regardless, it's fine. It's fine, Silas. We'll deal with it. So do you think with her putting, because I've said this so many times, I think Evelina and Henna would be destroying so many courses if they could putt. Mm-hmm. So do you think it simply could be just a thing of just get your index finger on the rim? Well, if that is the main issue,
but then it could get, because of the motion, it could get caught on their middle finger. The problem is they're not initiating the stroke from the bottom with the index finger.
Terrible.
So it's going
garbage. Well, what's happening
here?
You're like it's.
This is the hot dog one too. I got hot dog.
Oh, this is getting pinched between the pointer finger and the thumb, and you see how that happens? That's literally what's happening, and it's just you can fall through forward and it goes right. It's pivoting on this joint right here, like that, because they're it's just not .
How do you grip it? Do you grip it the same kind of way?
I grip like that when I putt.
And so, how's she gripping? You think she's
probably pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
But like what I focus on when I putt is like my back fingers,
and that's what you were saying.
I'm focusing
coming
on like
from the pop,
I'm
coming from
I'm
here.
trying to come like up almost. Where I wonder if she's trying to open.
Well, my opinion would be like this. I think she'd be more of this move.
Yeah.
And she's trying to
show it to the camera. Show the camera.
So like this move, and she's trying to do.
Size is still trying to make something happen. We got picture of multiple of the same putt.
So what I think's happening is this. What needs to happen is these all need to clear at the same time. And these are doing it, and this is for.
Well, it's almost like her thumb is like putting too much pressure.
Yeah.
You can't hook it on your finger because there's no pressure. Like
so
almost
this
like
needs to do this move. And what's happening is she's going boom and putting pressure here, and it pops it up in the. See this?
I just don't. I still don't understand.
I can
how
do it
it's
for you.
Possible.
Careful. Ready?
Wait, is that gonna go that way?
It's gonna go at you probably.
Wait, why? No, because that's where you're aiming. It needs to
I'm
go
going this way.
Oh, you're aiming that way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh my god! What? Could you imagine if that happened? Spun around, caught it, and just jammed it in. Oh my goodness!
Like it spins and you go here,
and then whip it back.
You got it.
Oh, all right. So I wanted to bring that up because putting is a weird one where, especially like they clearly, and other people, I've had it too. Everyone I think goes through it where you have like the yips of where it's just something is weird and awkward, and the only way to get out of it is to literally just like rep it out. That's the only way I've learned to get out of it.
I don't know for that though. I feel like that
you think that is more of a strut like
even like Evelina, she had that issue and she had a couple at All-Stars, but like I was watching her, like she posted on her Instagram in the off season, her draining like 25, 30 footers like 5, 10 in a row. So it's got to be something like I don't understand even how it's mental.
I think this is what happens. It's something they think they're making putts and they get into it, right? But then when it's time to do that thing, they overthink it, and then it becomes a mechanical move.
Because like I've done something.
And if it becomes a mechanical move, then your mechanics have to be good. They have to be spot on.
Do you think it's something similar to kind of like your follow through, where you'd have the weird follow through and you're nervous, but maybe for them it happens slightly earlier?
Well, instead of it being like this weird looking, stupid looking,
it's like a jab. It's like a jab.
Really awful looking.
Yeah.
Like putt.
Like the worst. Like my stats would say that.
Yes.
But I feel like so. I don't know. Like I just.
It's like it's so easy.
Like I've had that. I've probably happens like me like 1 in 1,000. Like of putting, like where I will I can feel it stick on my finger and I'll miss, not that severe, but a decent bit right on like 20, 25 footer. But so I actually like what you talked about, like how it's hard to do in tournament. The putt that I use in tournament is almost different than what I practice with, because the way I putt in tournaments is I'm very up and down, and then all I happen is open my hand up like that and flick my fingers to get the spin. So and that's why you see like a lot of spin putters practice putting, they don't miss.
Yeah.
But when it's literally impossible for me, if I was to like putt like Simon, like really from here and then open it up, I would miss every single putt in a tournament because the rhythm's different. Like when you're practice putting, you come here. You
don't have that pressure.
Here. Well, and you have the same. It's easy to replicate the rhythm where, like when you're in the tournament, you're kind of like lining up and
you also might not have had a putt over 30 feet in 35 minutes, 45 minutes.
So my putt, I've basically made it so nerves don't affect it. That's the goal of my whole putt, is so the nerves that don't affect it. So when I practice putt, I'm a little more like slingshotty, and I'm kind of just like, really getting a flick, where in tournament I'm kind of just like a little more like just
like
up and down.
Well, not slingshot, but
up and down, but like flick the fingers.
What about spinner center?
He does this like he has a little bit like he does this before putts, kind of get like the rhythm going, and then he'll come in and do it. Where I feel like when people shank putts, they kind of just hold it there.
Yeah,
and he's getting that rhythm, and then he'll go.
Yeah,
I even do that. Like a lot of my good putts I make, I'm kind of almost like spazzing at the top. I'm like, here, line up, get the flick, and then I'll go down to get the rhythm. It's hard to like just hold it there and then get your proper putt.
when I used to, this is a true fact. And I've never told this in front of anybody.
Exclusive.
Oh, it's very exclusive to probably 10 people ever. But I could go out with my regular grip, okay? The regular grip that I putt in the circle with. And I could putt it from 50 feet and it'll grip lock right every time. Like straight right. Because like you said, I have a rhythm that I do in the circle. And when that speeds up, these have to catch up. And that's harder to do. The timing to get to a spot, like right here, obviously from 50 feet, I'm going to have to speed up my hand, which means I'm going to have to open up faster. And my brain doesn't calculate it, so then I don't open up, and it hooks onto this little fat part, and it'll just go straight right.
I've never understood that because sometimes I feel like people focus too much on the mechanics of the putt, like coming straight down, holding the follow through. All I'm doing is picking a spot like 3 feet above the band. I'm like, okay, here, pop it there, hit it, and it drops in.
Which is why I switched to the push stroke so that I can get it out of my hand and clear, and then that's why I do it from far away. So I switched putts because I'm not gonna just start yipping putts from 50 feet straight right. Like I will just not do that. You know. And that, so I get it. I get how it happens.
That's an interesting thing, though. I think a lot of people don't putt that way. Where he's talking about
not a lot of people putt like Gannon.
No, but he's talking about like he's looking at
everything, and
he's looking at like hit points to try to hit before the basket, where other people are. No, I sometimes do that. I probably need to do it.
Like I almost like in a way like there's a hula hoop in the air, and I'm like, okay,
try to go
10 people, get in the hula hoop, and it
drops in.
But like
I think that could help a lot of people because I think people from 30 feet away, they're just like looking at the chain that they're trying to throw versus they don't really realize like where the disc needs to go.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing. When I play my best disc golf is I can like literally see the exact line I want to, you know, this guy at All Stars had these glasses. They're called AR glasses, so you can still see everything I'm seeing now, but then it displays a thing in your vision. It's really weird. He said they're like 5-10 years out. Like I don't know how he just came up with me. I tried them on.
You got like futuristic goggles.
But like,
did you make them?
And when I told him like he should like try to do, he said there's like 1,000 in the world, 100 in the world, or something like that. What like I was saying, like what he needs to do is like literally you put the glasses on, you have a hole, and it analyzes the hole, and it shows you the best line of the basket. And that's basically what I do right now with my brain is exactly which angle I want to throw it on, how much I want to fly like. So when I play my best disc golf is when I'm envisioning the shot, not just saying like, okay, throw a hyzer. Like I'm not just throwing a hyzer way up there. I'm like, okay, throw a hyzer and have it hit this line the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's where I feel like people can kind of go wrong sometimes. Is like they're not seeing the exact line. When it comes to putting, same thing. I'm like, okay, putt. This is exactly what it looks like. I almost envision like, okay, I just made a practice putt. I saw it go in, and now I do the same thing with my actual putt.
I think you have to do that to be successful at the highest level in these sports that are not reactionary.
Yeah.
Because obviously in reactionary sports, you don't have the time to visualize this stuff.
I feel like it's hard to be like, I feel like in those reactionary sports, it's hard to be clutch. Like clutch is so much different in like basketball than it is this.
It's definitely more feel based. And it goes to the point of where what you were saying, where you know, when you get nervous or stuff happens where you tense up, that's why certain people are just like, I'm not feeling like I'm going to make my next shot, and then they won't take a shot, versus the people that are like, I cannot miss right now.
I mean, like, even like look at darts. Like, can you imagine like for the win? I don't know how they would be like world championships or whatever. Like, you have to hit the triple 20. Like, how hard it would be to get everything to be so precise. Where like in basketball, I have 1 second left. Oh, you here? Chuck it up.
Yeah,
like, that's got to be like.
That's where I think it's just
not as nerve wracking, you know.
No, well, to some, obviously, some people they don't want to be the guy that gets scored on. They don't want to be the guy that you start having. It's not reactionary, but you start having
there's pressure,
those thoughts come in your head.
That's why I feel like I did terrible at the All-Star putting thing. Is like, crap, I got to back up my teammates now. You know? I'm the last guy. I can't lose now. Like.
Different thoughts.
The most pressure
stuff's going into your head.
The most pressure I've ever felt in my life playing disc golf is when you're at a local course, you're on a basket, and an am comes up behind you, And you're like, and you're 40 feet away, like I can't miss, or he's gonna think I'm terrible. I'm like, if I miss this 40-footer, he's gonna think I'm not even that good. And that's where the most pressure ever comes in.
That's hilarious.
Nothing can compare to that.
Let's quickly real talk. Last thing I want to say about Las Vegas Challenge: weather conditions. For those that don't know, conditions don't look good this week. Tomorrow we got 25 mile per hour,
25 to 35
sustained with gusts.
Gusts probably 40, and it's gonna
Tea
be
times. Let's hear it.
I'm like at the 12:30ish.
130.
12.
I looked at the weather. It's gonna be pretty much the same for everybody. Like the same conditions.
I think if you're early,
12 is. I'm at 11.
I think if you're
I'm gonna
early,
have 1 mile an hour less than you guys,
which is nothing.
which is huge.
Is it die down though towards the end of the day? Like if you're at like 5 or 6 finishing, you might not have as windy.
So I'm set. I mean,
It goes down
couple
4 to 5.
Yeah.
No.
5 is big. That's like
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Like
difference.
20 to 15.
Especially if the
is
last
way
couple holes are
different.
easy, you want to get live. Like, you can burn
Or
the
if you're
last-
headwind.
Dude, this is perfect.
Yeah.
If you just start taking all the time again, and you finish at 9 miles per
9
hour.
miles per hour, 8 o'clock.
No, I'll just walk up as slow as I can to my lie.
It's going to be windy. It's just going to be tough.
Now here's last thing I want to touch on. Do we think there needs to be something in the rules, or Disc Golf Pro Tour, they have like their policy of when a lightning strikes a certain distance, you gotta stop playing. Does there need to be a suspension rule for wind? Is there a moment where the wind gets so bad that they're like, this is just not disc golf
anymore? Yeah,
and let's just suspend play for an hour or two and let this blow through?
Well, it's weird because like disc golf will never be a regulated sport. We're not inside like where basketball is. Like basketball, if you make your shot, you make your shot. In disc golf, when we have these 35 mile per hour gusts, you are never going to have the same result as another guy if you threw the same exact shot. If you put
this is more extreme.
Yeah.
Like this is obviously on the extreme side. We might see some of it tomorrow where you're stepping up to a 10-footer and you're just
crap.
I have no control of what this disc is going to do.
Yeah.
Do we feel like for fans watching, for the players themselves, there needs to be maybe a certain mile per hour of where it's like, this is too outrageous, let's suspend play? Or do you think play through everything?
It's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch, but I do think there has to be a point, because to a point to where you hit it in the middle and it flies backwards.
Yeah.
It flies out of the basket.
The equipment doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and it flies. At that point, the equipment's faulty. This isn't possible.
Your banners are ripping.
Like, what are you going to aim super low? And like, you can, I guess.
Try to like spike it in is the only way to do it.
And it's tough too, because like sometimes like the weather's weird. Like from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. you can have 5 mile per hour winds, and then for some random reason, like you didn't hear in Vegas a couple days ago, it was really nice the first couple hours in the morning, and then it gets to 50 mile per hour winds. Like it's just always going to be.
That's why I think we need to do alternate tee times. I think they need to have. Do
you think we should stick with the same card
every? This is what I was gonna say. I think they need to have. They need to have 2 feature cards. They need to have feature. Again, let me correct myself, because people get really mad when I'm like talking about absolutes. I just do this all the time. This is what I think, not this is what needs to happen. Sorry, this is what I think. If they did, what are they doing? 3 feature cards for MPO right now?
It looks like 4.
Okay.
Is it?
So let's say,
I think they are starting to do 4 because of the line.
So let's say there's 4 feature cards.
It looks like 4 feature
there's
cards
enough.
to me.
There's enough players where you could do 4 feature cards in the afternoon, 4 feature cards in the morning. You film in the afternoon. These guys don't get filmed the first day, and then everyone stays with everyone. And then the next day, you switch. Where down these guys, if you had an afternoon tee time, you have a morning tee time the next day. Morning tee time.
Well, what if it pours rain in the morning, and then it's perfect?
But if you do that throughout the entire season, it's gonna more level out. There are places where we play where we all know the weather gets way better later in the day. Yeah. So if you're always being able to play when it's not cold in the morning, or what I'm saying,
when it's cold is like one of the biggest disadvantages, I feel like.
Yeah, so like that's where, to me, to make it the most fair, obviously it's not. You might go through 5 tournaments where you're like, I have the worst draw ever. Like I'm playing in the worst conditions, and it might happen. But to just make it the most fair to everyone, I think switching the tee times to where if you had a morning tee time the first round, afternoon,
I agree.
and then third round you start going top to bottom.
Yeah.
So leaders finish at the end, whatever.
That makes sense.
And then I think throughout the course of the season, I think that's going to level the playing field out more than the guys that are never going to be on feature card. They have a less likely chance of playing the afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, that's a thing. Like, you know, a lot of times, pretty much every time, wind picks up as the day goes on. You know, like morning tee times are always going to be less windy than afternoon most of the time.
And you can go that way too, where you as a top player might be in a lot of feature cards, and you're always having to play in worse conditions.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair either.
Yeah, and then we'll like, it's crazy. Like, you know, a lot of the top players, like they're really good. Like they have to they play really good day one, and then they have to play in the windier conditions for the rest of the tournament.
Yep.
And then they're still able to stay on top.
Yep.
Like if those top players were able to play like in the best conditions of the day, like
I might not like it.
Usually earlier.
No, I like it because it's fair. I don't like it. I'm not trying to like, because I think ultimately too it would help. It would help the top players too.
Yeah.
Because there are certain situations where obviously in the morning it's not as windy. It might be a little colder, but
Agreed.
those are my thoughts. All right. Does anyone have anything else? You guys have anything else to say?
No. I'm excited for the tour to start. I'm excited. It's going to be a good year, a lot of good competition, and I think it's going to be, really exciting again.
Disc Golf Network tomorrow, free.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. First round's free. If you are a post-produce guy, check it out. It's free. Tune in for a little bit. See if you like it. If you do, then maybe think about subscribing and watching the rest of the tournament. If not, obviously, post-produce is always going to be there. But, yeah, first round's free tomorrow. Tune in. You got FPO going off in the morning.
Joma's FPO, I think, too. Right?
Yeah. That's at Infinite tomorrow. We're going to be at Millennium.
Watch me on Joma's.
Yeah, will be on.
Hopefully
You'll
I
be
don't
on
play
live too.
Hopefully I don't play terrible. Yeah, hopefully I don't play terrible. But
yeah,
I'll be able to talk about you tomorrow too.
Well, I told the reason Kelsey's not here is because I was like, there's a good chance I'm not making the cut. So you're gonna fly out Saturday to watch me play.
I don't think that's true.
There is a chance.
You're probably gonna win now. Let's be real.
Yeah, maybe.
Brody wins.
I mean, I also say that because now that can get clipped if I do win. Be like, this guy didn't even think he was gonna make it. What a storyline!
I mean, Yuli's gonna win like Vegas or Waco or something.
I will. Yeah.
You never know. You never know. All right. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on, Alden. Thank you too. Yuli. Hey, first show live in person. I think we did Silas, I know there was like some dark horse loop of hitting his putt. That was not on purpose. So
and we went dark for a little bit.
Not bad.
I was trying not to bring that up. We do need to figure. I think here. Listen to my computer. It is struggling.
Yeah, it's literally a jet engine going off right now.
Yeah, it is. It is on the struggle bus. Also, what did you think of the speakers when Trevor came on?
It was a crackle.
It was not good. No. It might be time. This is my college computer.
No.
Yes.
You had it that long.
You should have gone and got some Firebirds and sold them to get a new computer.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I think it's time. I think it's time for me to get a new computer. So, all right. Maybe start a GoFundMe for a new computer
for Brody's computer. Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these. If you're watching or listening rather on Apple or Spotify, thanks so much. Drop a review. Let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you don't like, and thanks again for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Tour starting 2023. We'll see you there. Later.